My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. This is the only channel dedicated to UFC fight picks and DraftKings lineups run by MMA insiders and professional fighters. Every week, I join Dan Kramer and Nick Newell, two longtime professional fighters that have fought at the highest levels on the planet, as well as Jacob Lyons, a skinny kid from Indiana. So join us every single week for our full fight card breakdowns, our individual fight card breakdowns, our betting guide, and our DraftKings lineups. Next up at UFC Vegas 28, we have Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Miguel Baeza. I have seen our bets. We didn't do our betting guide yet, but by the time you're watching this, it should be available. I've seen our bets. I've seen where some of our money has gone, and this is a good matchup. So we have Ponzinibbio. He's coming back from a long layoff. He came back from a long layoff and was knocked out 4 months ago. We got a question in one of our live chats the other day. Is ring rust a real thing? I think it is, and I think Ponzinibbio showed that, right? He had that long layoff, came back, got knocked out. Now that's behind him, and we will see what he looks like. The Ponzinibbio of old was very good. Very good. He has great hands, solid low kicks, very well-rounded fighter, and has the abilities to do something real in this division. Where Baeza, he's been active, so he didn't have that long layoff. He's very versatile. He looks better and better in every single fight. He has really good kicks, and I would say he has the advantage in kicks. Ponzinibbio has the advantage in boxing, so I always like those dynamics because will Baeza keep Ponzinibbio away with the kicks, chop down that tree? And the big question here is, what does Ponzinibbio look like after that loss, after the layoff? Will he go back to what he was? He has, Baeza has solid fight IQ, even though he's young. And I think this fight might be a changing of the guard. I think Ponzinibbio had his time, and he's sort of passing the torch, and Baeza is on the way up and will sort of take some of that steam and that momentum. Dan, I've seen your bets. I know where you're going. Why don't you break down this fight?
Yeah, no, I'm all over Ponzinibbio on this one. At plus odds, I mean, it's almost like people forgot the streak he was on before his last fight.
Is this a joke? This is a joke?
No.
You being serious?
Yeah, I'm taking Ponzinibbio.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
All over.
Yeah, I mean, you're everywhere, Dan.
You're acting surprised. You just said you saw my bets.
I'm pulling it up now to make sure I'm not crazy, but... Okay, yeah, I thought you bet Baeza, but I guess not.
No.
You have Ponzinibbio. Yeah, what am I talking about?
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, Jacob, dumb ASS, has Baeza winning inside the distance. So why are you correcting Dan? Go ahead, Dan.
Okay. I was very confused. I was like, is there something I missed? Is there...
Oh, there's something you missed.
Well, I think there's something you missed, Jacob, and that's Ponzinibbio's
entire voice.
career prior to his last fight. So, yes, ring rust is something real, especially in fights where your first fight back is against a very, very tough fight and unique fight in Jinlang Li. I don't know if you guys watched that fight, but ring rust, in my opinion, I mean, it can affect people differently, but when you fight a guy who moves around all over the place, bouncing all over the place, keeps the distance, it is very hard. One of the hardest things to get back in your first fight back is getting that timing, right? And Ponzinibbio's first fight back after a couple years off was against Jinlang Li, who's very good. And man, you can't get your rhythm back against a guy like that. So, and you could tell he was trying to find him. He was like stalking him down, but it was almost like he was getting frustrated that he couldn't get to him. He ended up getting clipped. But I think he's way better than we saw his last fight. I mean, if you look at his win streak prior to that, he beat Neil Magny, Mike Perry, Gunnar Nelson. He beat some very, very good guys, and his striking looked phenomenal. Great jab, powerful right hand, good kicks. I mean, the Neil Magny fight was one of the most impressive fights I saw. He beat him in the 4th round, and that fight was a dismantling. I mean, he picked him apart, dropped him multiple times with leg kicks, defended takedowns when he needed to. It was just like, it was an all-around masterpiece performance. So I think he's at that level already. Like, he's in the top of the division, whereas Baeza, I think, is a good, promising talent. He's 3-0 in the UFC, but I mean, the level of competition here, It was a little bit different. He beat Takashi Soto, Matt Brown, Hector Aldana, all solid wins. I think this is just a big step up, and I don't know if he's ready for it yet. So at plus money, I'll take Ponzinibbio all day here. Baeza, watch him on tape. He's definitely very good. He's a traditional, more traditional in terms of solid fundamentals, solid stance, but he's fairly stationary. He doesn't have a bunch of crazy footwork or anything. So very, very different fight than Ponzinibbio's last opponent. And I think that will work in Ponzinibbio's favor to get him back in the rhythm, shake things off, get back to fighting, get comfortable in the mix during, a 3-round fight. And I think he'll pick him apart striking and maybe even get a finish. But for sure, over 3 rounds, I think he's going to win the striking exchanges. So I've got him all day. I'm definitely going to play him in DraftKings. I've got bets on him and more all day on the strike line.
I agree with the more for sure. I do think it's a close fight. I think it's a good fight. I have Baeza winning. But and that is some recency bias. The long layoff, the way he lost after that long layoff, it's not. I don't know if he's had the time to shake all of that rust just yet. Baeza is younger, active, so I'm going with Baeza here, but just by a slight edge. And I don't mind Baeza at minus 125. It's not like he's minus 200, minus 125. He's a very slight favorite, and I think he should be. Jacob, tell them why you agree with me.
You guys forget Matt Brown almost finished. My boy Matt Brown. I love Matt Brown. That was my guy on the Ultimate Fighter. We played ping pong all the time. He was always chewing and just a cool dude. But Matt Brown almost finished him in that first round, and he got clipped. So, I think Ponzinibbio. Matt Brown did that when he was 38, 39 years old. Ponzinibbio is much younger. I think Baeza's in trouble. Go ahead,
Jacob. Bunch of guys.
No, I mean, this is an undefeated fighter for $8,300. This is a jiu-jitsu black belt, jiu-jitsu base who's knocking everyone out, and now he's at MMA Masters where he's going to work on his wrestling. It's unbelievable. And Santiago was a very good fighter. He had the layoff. The layoff was not I'm taking time off. I'm taking time off to get better. I'm moving camps. I'm doing this. He was had wild injuries with bone infections. I mean, it was not good. That's why he missed time. It wasn't to get better. He was trying not to lose a leg through all this. He came back. He obviously showed all that octagon rust, which makes sense. He was off just laying in bed, but he threw 18 strikes in that fight. It's not like he knocked off the rust in that fight. He only threw 18 strikes to least 50 in that fight and ended up getting finished. So it's not like he's going to come back fresh. Oh, I knocked off the ring rust. I'm fine now. And Baez, like I said, is just so well-rounded. He's a black belt that's knocking people out. He just got his first submission win in his last fight, and that was after he knocked the guy down and then ended up finding an arm triangle. I think these odds should be 3-1, and that's nothing against Santiago. I think he was a very good fighter. I just don't think he has anymore. Sometimes you lose it. Sometimes you're a step behind, whether it's ring rust or whatever. And Miguel Baeza is a 10-0 fighter for $8,300. I'll take that all day. He's in my lineup. I have him in all my bets, all my parlays, and he's gonna make me a lot of money on Saturday night.
Well, Jacob and Dan on complete opposite sides of this fight, so I'm very much looking forward to see this play out. See where that goes. I have Baeza. I do think it's a close fight, so I'm in the middle. I think Baeza wins, but I think this is a very close fight, and I would not be surprised by a Santiago win. More is the play.
Make fights, my friend Jacob. You're going to learn it in this one.
Oh, you don't see.
More.
Playing him in DraftKings, Angelo?
I have to look at my lineup. I had 2 very expensive fighters, so I don't remember what I ended up with. More is the play in Monkey Knife Fight. Go to playmkf.com/wewantpicks, and you can triple your money playing that line. And if you want to put a bet on this fight, I don't know if you're going to bet with Dan or bet with Jacob. Use your emojis down below, but go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Grab the promo that you like best. Throw some money on this fight, and let's see what happens.